Hi, my name is Dan Schwartz. I work for a company called the Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District. We are a small government agency, and I'm a soil scientist. So what is a soil scientist? I like to think of a soil scientist as being somewhat of a problem solver. Sometimes people on their property have issues of flooding. Sometimes they have problems with erosion. Sometimes their plants won't grow well. Sometimes they have issues with their house settling and cracking in spots. And when they have problems like this, they can call in a soil scientist who hopefully will be able to dig into the ground, look at the soil types, see what might be there that's causing those problems, and also make recommendations on how those problems can be fixed. So in many ways, what I do is a very, very fancy version of digging big, deep holes. And I do it with some very basic equipment like my soil auger, which is basically just a hand-powered drill that goes down into the ground, and it can extract a very small, what we call a soil core, a small column of soil that goes down about 5 feet or so. And that allows us to see a lot of the different types of soil layers that may exist there. And the deeper we go, the more likely we are to find where the problem is occurring. We also have these smaller augers, which we use when someone, let's say, who owns a large piece of property and their grass isn't growing well or their crops aren't growing well. We can take these small samples, we just punch it down in the soil, give it a little kick, and we get this little core of soil. And we can use this soil up at the top to test for the percentage of nutrients and fertilizers and other important things that are in there, and see if it's sufficient for what that person is trying to do, the crops that they're trying to grow, the grass that they're trying to grow. And if it's not sufficient, we can make recommendations on what they should add, what extra fertilizers they should add, what other amendments they should add to the soil to make their soil a little bit healthier. In urban areas, we have a big problem with really, really dense soil. It gets packed down because we have machines running over it, we have cars running over it. This is a little device called a penetrometer. It's basically a spike. We poke it down into the soil, and we've got a gauge on the front, and it tells us how much pressure we are exerting to poke that spike down into the soil, and that gives us an idea of how compacted, how dense, how hard that soil is. And a lot of times in urban areas, it's the density of the soil that makes a lot of problems, because dense soil doesn't allow water to drain through very quickly. It doesn't allow oxygen to get down from the surface into the roots. And this can cause a lot of problems when it comes to erosion, when it comes to flooding, when it comes to bad drainage, and when it comes to poor growth of your plants. So I know that's a lot of information, but basically, in a nutshell, what we try and do is help people solve their soil problems. First, diagnose the problem, figure out what it is, and then give them solutions for how to make it better.